And, I love that there's been progress made there. And you're a huge, huge champion of diversity just from the word go across the board. Everything you do, everything you put out, that's another part of your brand. It wasn't likely an intentional thing, but it just sprung out of your doings, the things
you have to make
do.
a choice, right? If you're going to support it or not. And I think thank you for pointing that out, but beyond memes and hashtags and posts on social media, I figured, well, that's not enough. So we have a shadow director on every set. 9 times out of 10, it's a BIPOC, LGBTQ, female film. It's not a white guy. I actually got some emails calling me a racist because on a recent
racist against old white guys.
Yes, yeah, three white guys emailed me saying you're a racist. Another 2 unsubscribed from my mailing list because I was excluding the privileged to help. No, I was excluding the represented.
Oh, okay.
To help the underrepresented.
Right.
I said, yes, I am. Guilty.
Yeah. Martians landed.
Yes.
Wearing Prada suits.
Yes.
Drinking Henry Seltzer.
Yes.
Chewing juicy fruit.
Yes, and?
Your branding here.
Yes, brand.
Your message here.
Yes, and?
A verse about.
Yes.
Your product here.
Yes.
I'm Hirsch Redman.
Yes, and?
I'm a message therapist.
Yes.
And I have a podcast.
Yes, brand.
That's right, that's it.
Yes.
We'll help you fix the world.
Yes.
Or your bottom line.
All right.
Your bottom line.
Get it. I get it. Welcome to the Yes Brand Podcast. Yes.
Okay, so I've done the master class. I've done the boot camp.
Yeah.
I do now want to do the retreat.
Oh, you'd be great.
Joshua Tree. Now, the only thing is I'm not a director. I don't even have designs to become a director, but I feel like I just love the way you share your knowledge with people. And this is not, news. We've talked about this, and you have a very refreshing perspective on all of the knowledge and skill that you've accumulated over the years. So tell our audience, because I didn't even really welcome you yet to the show. We just started talking. So welcome to Yes Brand. You were here. Hirsch. You were here for the very original iteration of Yes Brand, which no one can find it. It's been squirreled away. I'm probably paywalling it so that when this is a world-renowned podcast, I can break out those episodes. But you were one of the first guests on.
I remember.
On that,
I think you did it in character.
Probably I did. Probably I was either a German character or I was doing some kind of accent. But those were the years, Jordan, when I was hiding from my identity as a thought leader and business person. And I thought, I was always trying to be funny, but that's, that is in the past.
You're with us now as a serious man.
Yeah. Now I'm serious. Now I'm very serious about my business now.
I woke up at 5 this morning, anticipating giddy about being on the show today. And for some reason in my head, I was hearing, na 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 na. Yes, Brand.
So you're writing jingles now. Now you're writing jingles?
Yeah, well, the Jingle Hut is a new business I'm going to be starting at the end of the year. Right now, I just launched my production company.
True Gentleman
Industries Incorporated, which is incorporated in the state of California back in August of 2018.
And
I've been laying low.
Yeah.
Always tell the truth. That's a sign of a gentleman.
That's right.
But I went public. I had my coming out this past month.
Wow. Well, I did see. Yeah, I saw an interview with you. I've seen some press. Sometimes I do press for you. Sometimes, though, we like to keep it interesting by you just kind of doing some story. Somebody calls you and wants to do a story on you. And, and lo and behold, there you are in the press. And it impresses even me because I am not behind it at all in any way. So I haven't.
Well, you have been one of the pillars of press for Jordan Brady and Commercial Directing Film School, which people can learn more at commercialdirectingfilmschool.com. And True Gent I have stepped into, yes, stories and, our friends at Shoot Magazine, for instance.
Yes.
I simply emailed that we were coming out. We're out for the public to hire us. And they did a nice story, Little Black Book, which is an industry rag.
Yeah.
They heard about it. They want to do a little piece. So I step in good press. I've been blessed. I don't have any control over it. But you've been one of the pillars, especially with like the commercial directing boot camp and the diversity award winners that come to the boot camp. And I come to you because you were my ChatGTP before ChatGTP.
And before it changed its name to ChatGPT.
Whatever it is, I get it wrong all the time.
PT4. What I tell people is, look, I went to a symposium and I heard a presentation from ChatGPT, and I think that I say this all the time, I think AI is a great starting point, and it
has no wit.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I
tried THC. Very slow.
Oh yeah, it depends which one you take.
Sure,
there's Chat Sativa,
there's Wookiee, there's Purple Dragon.
That's the real insiders know. You say, are you using Chat GPT? And they say, what strain of But I will say this: I think that it just raises the bar, and it means that writers have to up their game like everybody else. And I think it's great. And, bring it on. I said to the Chat GPT people, I said, okay, I wrote a couple of taglines down for you while I was listening to your presentation. One was, what was one? When it doesn't really matter, was one of my putting mediocre writers out of business.
Good.
Which I thought was cute,
it's cute.
Which I thought was very cute. And then I can't remember what the third one was. They didn't take either of the first two. So I kind of felt I wasn't gonna get that account. But
we were walking down the street, my son Jake and I, and he edits my filmmaking podcast, Respect the Process, which is everywhere you pod.
Yes.
It's about commercial filmmaking. You've been a guest.
Was I a guest? You were the inspiration for me to become a podcaster.
Wonderful.
Yes. So
I apologize.
Thank you.
Hold for laugh.
The thing you told me, Jordan, was stick with it because it takes, it takes a while, and not only did I stick with it, I did that initial run of Yes Brand episodes. I did about 35 episodes, and then got back into the sneaker marketing stuff, and I got busy with that. And then we had this pandemic that was too good to turn down. And
got to jump on that bandwagon.
You gotta jump on that. And now I'm back with these two podcasts and doing all this stuff that I never even knew podcasts could do. And I owe it to the experience of working with you, Jordan Brady.
Oh, I'm happy to play a small part in your success.
Thank you.
What I was going to tell you is I'm walking down the street with Jake Brady, who edits Respect the Process. And I'm telling him about ChatGTP. GPT or TP?
It's PT.
PT. Chat.
Think of it as physical therapy for your vocabulary.
Okay,
so you'll remember that it's PT.
PT. I'm telling him about the chat bots. And we're walking past a house that's being built, and there's a bunch of wonderful carpenters and laborers up there.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, because my son Jake is a writer, and I said, you have to use it as a tool. I said, you see those guys up there? Look at those like three guys in the corner, and they're all using power drills. Zzz, zzz. They have to know where to drill.
Mm-hmm.
But what if there was one guy? Imagine one guy over to the left, and he's got the old time drill going, hand cranking, making a hole. So it's going to take him like 10 minutes. What the other guys are doing in 4 seconds.
Uh-huh.
And if he doesn't know how to drill, having a power tool is not going to be good.
That's right.
It's not going to make I think it was Steven Spielberg who said to me, through the magic of print, I've never met him.
Right. You read it, you absorbed it.
But he said it to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
The typewriter didn't put screenwriters out of business, nor would the personal computer, the PC.
Right.
Doesn't mean just because the tool can help you write. And look at the derivative. Well, the derivativeness of where we're at now with AI is my problem. Like, I think everybody's selfie that they made him look like a superhero with that cartoon style.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, great. AI did it. Wow. I mean, in the 80s, I had a video filter that would make things look like an aha video. Like, it's not interesting beyond the swipe.
You know what we used to call them, what my dad used to call them when we were kids? Satskala. It's Satska.
What is Satskala?
Satska is like
Yiddish?
Yeah, it's Yiddish.
There's Yiddish AI?
No, and it's not AI, but it's a little something. It's a little knickknack. It's like a little, what do you call it? An oddity or a gimmick, some little thing you play with. And
Gotcha.
It's basically, it's a Satski. There's just it spins around, the head pops up, and then the thing goes.
How do you say the word? How do you say the word?
Satski. So you would do a TZ.
Could a tchotchke be a Satski?
Tchotchke is the same thing, but they butcher the pronunciation of it.
Gotska.
But what am I?
It's a little tchotchke.
What am I going to do? Fight about it now? The way it's tchotchke, tsatsky, satskila.
I have a problem with swag.
Oh, that's another one.
Swag. I always knew it as swag. Like, you might get a tchotchke for a swag, but now people say swag. Oh, there's a swag bag. And I think of swag as in I've got swag in my
swagger.
In my
that's
walk.
swagger.
Like swagger. Yeah.
That's swagger. Well, what you've done is subconsciously you've made an incredible segue into a topic that I wanted to discuss with you, which is your brand. Which your brand.
Yes, brand. My brand.
Well, okay. No, seriously. The way that, and there was a segue there in my head, but it's not worth dissecting now. But the point is this: over the length of time that I've known you, many years, you are a filmmaker, you're a commercial filmmaker, you've made feature films, but filmmaking is clearly your DNA. That's who you are. You've been a comedian, you've been a writer, you've done all kinds of other things like a lot of us have, but you're a filmmaker. And I love the fact that your brand has evolved over years. And because, as we talked about, I've had like a front row seat to a lot of it. But can you share with the audience, because a lot of the audience is trying to figure out how to get their brand to the next level. How do they speak? What's their voice? How do they differentiate themselves from other people? And I think your insights would be really appreciated, given that this is something you've done over years and years, at the same time plying your trade. So you've built a brand while shooting for brands and doing all this stuff. Just if you could just share some insight.
And first of all, thank you for the kudos and the compliments.
Sure.
Second of all, I am not a lawyer, a CPA. I'm not an Indian chief. I'm not a rabbi, but I'll try. So take what I say, cherry pick what works for you and discard what doesn't, because clearly God did not just place the cloth of knowledge upon my back. First of all, if you go to any of my socials, it's Father, Filmmaker, Founder. And putting father first helped me stay grounded and just keep the priorities in check. I tell filmmakers a lot in these courses or consultations or just in chit-chatting around the pool table. When you walk up the sidewalk to your house, right, your apartment, wherever you're going, could be a camper. When you're done with the shoot or you're done with the prep and you've had this amazing day or a hard day or your breakthrough or creative like renaissance in your career, like you want to share it with the world, know that as soon as you walk through the door, your kids don't really care. They had a thing happen at school. They got an A when they drew a little dinosaur. Your spouse had something happen at his or her or their day. So as a father, I want to make that the priority. And I think that's important, has been important for me, just to keep it real. The filmmaker, definitely, my journey from comedian to game show host and writer, features. I made 4 features, like 3 independents, 1 critical flop for Miramax. And so that's behind me. That's 20 years ago. But that experience definitely made me a better commercial director, a better collaborator, a better leader, right? And then founder is just kind of acknowledging that I do have an entrepreneurial zeal. And I think as a commercial director, well, any creative entrepreneur needs to like mind the business, mind the shop. There's shit that I do that, like with True Gent, that's short for True Gentleman Industries, my production company.
I like that.
You know, I'm blessed in this slow period. If you're listening in the future, we're talking end of third quarter, 2000. No, it's now
not end
the
of third quarter. It's the beginning of the second quarter.
Okay, the first quarter.
You may be at a different game than everybody else. That may be the problem.
So I'm very happy to have even the little jobs that I'm bidding and a big one coming up. But, you know, as a filmmaker, I would love to sit back and say, just make it all happen. I'll show up with my shot list. But as a founder, you know, I have to interim finance the job until I get paid from a big corporation. So my point is, with father, filmmaker, founder, what has worked best for me is to pick a lane, stay in it, and niche down, like super niche, and compartmentalize. Compartmentalization for me has been, and I have ADHD. I don't remember. Do I have ADHD or ADD or ChatGPT?
Right.
And so the compartmentalization has really helped me, like, put on the filmmaker hat, always wearing the father hat, the founder hat. I've got within that mindset, I have two complementary businesses. True Gentleman Industries, which is a production company, and delegation is spoiler alert. That's the big thing too, delegating.
Right.
But True Gent, when I'm wearing the True Gent hat, I don't even post like about the film school on Instagram. I don't want to cloud the message. You know, there's separate accounts. When I'm thinking about the film school, it's a certain amount of hours during the day that I put on the film school hat. Now, if you're not watching this video and you're listening on iTunes or what's the Spotify. Yeah. I'm not literally wearing hats.
No, not with that hair.
This is a metaphor. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So that the delegation and niche, to me, niching down is very exciting.
Yeah. You actually, Jordan, you know, in your book,
Commercial Directing
Voodoo.
You know, it's over 20 years of experience for $10 on Amazon.
It is a great book. We neglected to even mention it because it's like, so I probably do have it like literally within reach here somewhere. But basically you say in there, and you've said to me, you know, if they want to put you in a box, let them put you in a box. Go get in that box, because that's a niche. That's a specialization that you're going to occupy. And no one else is going to do that better or get, you know, picked for those jobs. It's so obvious. And yet people feel like they have to spread themselves out all over the place in order to sell to everyone, be loved by everybody, have everybody as a customer. And that's somehow in volume going to make up their career. And I think, you know, that has not been my experience, that spreading yourself out over a bunch of different talents and skills is really the way to go.
Well, you know, I agree. Yes, Brand. When I talk to filmmakers, so people, commercial directing film school was really pandemic inspired, because I've been doing this in-person boot camp in LA. I traveled with it for a while, but I just stay in LA. People fly in, it sells out since 2015. So I'm doing this boot camp. And then the pandemic hits 3 years ago, and I have to kill the boot camp for the time being. We can't gather as people. And so I fought I was kicking and fighting to put it online. People for, 5 years have been saying, "What, do you have anything online?" Yeah. And there's shit I say in the boot camp that I would never want to put on the internet. Trade secrets, stories, things like that. Not negative or bad about any person or entity, just like some voodoo. So my son, Ben Brady, he shoots a lot of the actual masterclass series with Neil deGrasse Tyson, or, who he's done a bunch of celebrities. And so he came to my
Herzog.
I think he might have done Werner Herzog.
I think Werner Herzog did a master class. Yeah.
When Timothy Treadwell thinks that he is helping the bears. So he came to my office. He lit it like a masterclass, and I cherry picked elements of the boot camp, and then kind of broadened the focus as an entry for someone, a filmmaker. But it's a niche. It's commercial directing masterclass. It's not short film masterclass, how to make a feature masterclass, how to shoot brands with your iPhone masterclass. It's commercial directing masterclass. So I had commercial directing boot camp, commercial directing film school. I ended up taking some business classes online, just to bone up on my skill. I will say bone up. That's a good one.
Bone up. It needs like an Al Pacino voice. Bone up. It was time for Jordan to bone up.
That's a good AP. So I combined the two under the umbrella commercial directing film school. So again, there's that sort of delegation, but still niche.
Yeah.
So the story I was going to just quickly tell, which has turned into quite a boring and lengthy one, is when I talk to people that have taken the master class, it comes with a free consultation call, if you wish.
Yeah.
I'm talking to the filmmakers, and they ask me about the boot camp. But what I'm hearing in our conversation is how they've got this feature film that's burning a hole in their heart, and they got to make this indie feature film. They've been working on the script for 3 years, and they're almost with financing. And I say, as a terrible business person, you shouldn't come to boot camp. It's called commercial directing boot camp. It's actually going to waste your time. It's going to cost you a lot of money. And I would rather see you put the exorbitant tuition towards craft services.
Right.
So that's the niche. And then with True Gent, I'll wrap it up here. With True Gent, my production company, I don't have any content in development. I'm not going to shoot a web series, and I don't have a script. I'm not doing a deck for a Netflix show. People on LinkedIn will hit me up. Like, they put the whole synopsis in the message and say, if you want to read the script, and I go, we just do commercials. We don't even edit. I'll bring in and I'll recommend. We don't package. We don't develop. We're not a collection of artists trying to, for our love of storytelling, putting humanity in your brand message. No, we make commercials. You have the script. We make the commercials. We make the script for you. Yeah. We'll write the script for you, brand direct, but it's very focused.
But therein is a solution to a problem that a lot of my clients have, not in our industry even, but now that I've branched out and I work with clients across a lot of different product categories, let's say, is how they stand out is by finding that thing that they do that no one else does. So if they say, we're in development on this, here's features docs, this, that, the other thing, whatever it is, it's just too much. Mm-hmm. It's just too much. And, even successful brands have diluted themselves too much. And if this could be the year of the individual, I would love that. I think that, we're obviously diversity, equity, and inclusion is very important. And, I love that there's been progress made there. And you're a huge, huge champion of diversity. Just from the word go across the board, everything you do, everything you put out, that's another part of your brand. It wasn't likely an intentional thing, but it just sprung out of your doings, the things
you have to make a choice, right? If you're going to support it or not. And I think thank you for pointing that out, but beyond memes and hashtags and posts on social media, I figured, well, that's not enough. So we have a shadow director on every set. 9 times out of 10, it's a BIPOC, LGBTQ, female film. It's not a white guy. I actually got some emails calling me a racist because on a recent
racist against old white guys.
Yes. Yeah. Three white guys emailed me saying you're a racist. Another 2 unsubscribed from my mailing list because I was excluding the privileged to help. No, I was excluding the represented.
Oh, okay.
To help the underrepresented.
Right.
And I said, yes, I am like guilty. Yeah. And if in your view that is being racist, that's okay. I'm cool with that. As I had said, my game, my rules. Now, back in November, I did this huge Toyota campaign, and my friend and filmmaker and film school alum Luke Cheney, as lily white and as hetero as you get, he shadowed me for 4 days based on the merit. I picked him.
Yeah.
And in Vegas a couple weeks ago for Ram Trucks, I had Geneva Faye, a queer female Latina, based on merit, but decidedly on my point, I was excluding white men because it's just my opinion. But at the end, it's father, filmmaker, founder, and the founder says this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but I love it. You know, the life is made of choices. We have to make choices. This is why I say, so I was saying the year of the individual, because ultimately, while we're trying to be more inclusive and we're trying to give chances to people who don't have chances every day and trying to treat people fairly in what they get paid and what they get chosen to do, we're also, if we could just remember that everybody's different. Everybody's unique. There isn't, not every, and maybe old white guys are all the same, but not really. Everybody, regardless of gender, regardless of how they identify, is a unique individual, and that's what I would love brands to do this year. Also, is when they think about their voice and how they want to present themselves. That's all I do. By the way, there's no magic sauce to what I do. A CEO or a founder usually will call me up and they'll talk to me and I'll talk back to them, and and that's where yes and comes from. They'll say something and I'll say something on top of it, but it'll just be very grounded in who their brand is and who they are. It's just not a lot of bullshit. It's not a lot of fluff, and it's not a lot of dancing around in circles and trying to convince people of things. So
I get it. I love it. And you make such a good point that, like, I'm even surprised that the gays like the LGBTQ. And I love the gays. I try to be funny by saying that. I hope I'm not pissing anybody off. But because it's not a monolith.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
They're astonishingly gay Republicans. I don't know how that works, but okay, fine. The white guys that complain, almost like your chatbot work, I think they just have to step up. I have to step up my game.
Yeah.
As a company owner, I get calls from my sales reps that say, hey, can you recommend a person of color? The agency is only, or they want to bid directors to direct a project of theirs. They want a person of color. Now, I could cry and go, well, what about me? My work is perfect for that. The numbers belie the efforts towards inclusion. There's look on any Instagram post about diversity, and you'll see it's still 78% are white men directing commercials or whatever it is. I'm making that number up. But my job is to A, be better, and B, help those. And so my answer is yes. And I recommended Geneva, who I met through my school. And that's where it all blurs. I met her through the film school, and I'm going to present her through True Gentlemen to do a job. See, Hirsch, I'm secretly making money off these filmmakers. If I can get them a job and I produce it, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah. But I was going to make the point that,
like a farm system.
You kind of, I know, but Well, I don't sense that you mastermind, so to speak, this stuff.
No, not at all.
And that's one of the things that I'm trying to adopt in my own business modeling is that there isn't it's not a chop shop. It's not an assembly line. It's not just plug it in and turn it on thing. But at the same time, there are things that work for other people. That you write a book, a lot of people can read it and learn different things from it. You create a course, a lot of people can take the course, and every person who takes the course gets something different out of it. Those are products that just have to be, you just make them available to people. But the way the way we go about it, don't interrupt me on my show. Don't you dare! Don't you come in here, Jordan, and interrupt me on my own show. Well, anyway, that was just fun.
Oh, sorry, I disrupted you.
Yeah, you just interrupted me. But anyway, I don't remember. It doesn't matter. But do it. Hey, do you mind?
Oh, you're back. Okay.
Yeah.
You're back on the train. Go for it. No, I don't mind. No.
Okay. Thank you. I don't remember what it was. You go ahead. No.
Well, first of all, I'm going to make a coupon at commercialdirectingfilmschool.com if you sign up for any of the online courses and use the coupon code YesBrand, no comma, just YesBrand. You're going to take $100 off of any online course. That's pretty generous right there.
That's very generous.
You were saying that you don't mastermind, but you cherry pick the things that work. And you have to evolve, yes. Adapt or die is in my book, Commercial Directing Voodoo. I also read the Audible version of Commercial Directing Voodoo. Not as good as the paperback book. Many people say because of the isms and it's one thought per page in Commercial Directing Voodoo. A lot of people say Rick Rubin sort of, used it as a launching pad for his popular book.
It could be. And I don't have like a long history with Rick Rubin because for many, many years I was doing footwear marketing, and because he never wears shoes, there was just no way for us to
common ground, no cartilage.
For our paths to cross. Yeah, there was no cartilage. I did see him in a Starbucks once. I was just very intimidated. I just couldn't even introduce myself. But that's a side story. I think the reason your audio book may not be as popular as the printed version is because the pictures are not necessarily in the audiobook, and your artwork, the illustrations that you created, which I understand took 30 or 40 years of just putting how do you mount a stick figure's arms on its body in such a way that you really get the sense of what that's going to look like when it's brought to the screen.
A lot of people say they've finished reading from front cover to back the entire book, Commercial Directing Voodoo, on the toilet in one sitting. Or it's a book you keep on the back of the toilet next to a Jeff Foxworthy, You Might Be a Redneck joke book. And you pick one up, you read a few pages and put it down.
Yeah.
But wait, there's one thing I wanted to point out. Putting yourself in a box or allowing someone, you said it better, allowing the marketplace to put you in a box can give you focus. But it can be product agnostic. And when you can have your DNA in your work across multiple styles, across multiple not disciplines if we're talking about focusing, but like you can do a car commercial and a Tide commercial and a candy bar commercial. And my goal is to have the Jordan Brady DNA in all of those. And that would be my voice. My box is like comedy with cars and often a celebrity. Like I do a lot of people Catherine Hahn next to a Chrysler being funny. The car's usually not even driving. That's someone else's box. It's a German director that does running footage or something like that. And then that branches out. But there's a wonderful creative director, Jeff Abbott, who I did a lot of Kellogg's work with back 20 years when I first started. And we're doing these little bug snack things. And that turned into another little fruit snack. And then there's always a mutation in your career. You have to almost pray for these and accept, spiritual people talk about accepting gifts. I like to accept the mutation. What do I mean by that? I'm working with Jeff, and all of a sudden, because we had a good working relationship, we do this Finding Nemo cereal commercial with an animatronic anthropomorphized teenage shark, and a teenage mom shark, teenage shark boy, mom shark, both in kitchen. And it was early 2000s, so it's a little Hall of Presidency, right? It wasn't the best, but we put some CG lips and eyeballs on him, and a fake fin. He's eating this Finding Nemo cereal, and it turned out great, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to say 10 or 12 years later, I get a call. Hey, Jordan, I'm doing a bear and a bull stock trader. I want to use people in suits, and they're going to walk through their day trading office, Phil and Marty. And I thought, well, there's one guy. He's the expert on anthropomorphized. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Characters with people wearing these suits. And he thought Jordan Brady. My friend Jeff Abbott put me in that box. Now, only every couple of years, but who am I to say, well, I really do comedy in cars now? You say yes,
that's
brand.
The thing. It's but the car didn't figure into the tax thing. By the way, you had to bring that up. You had to bring up that project that I auditioned for. I auditioned for one of the heads, and I didn't make it. I didn't make the cut. But,
well, they went a different way. A different way.
Indeed, they did. How dare they? But
they, and then that mutation led to some other character work and some CG stuff. Like CGI there were just token pieces of CGI in those puppetries. And also I'd done like these Eggo waffle spots. So to your point, it's not like I masterminded any of this shit. I'm just holding the tiger by the balls.
Yeah.
How's that expression go?
I don't know. I'm neither an expert in tigers or ball holding. And did you do a Shark Week thing? But that
had nothing to do with it,
with
though.
Rory Scovel.
Oh my God, what a funny comedian.
Yeah. But that brings up another thing. Comedians. Okay. So not only do you work with a lot of great comedians, commercial comedians like Pat Finn, and you have wonderful comedic actors that are specialized in commercials or do a lot of commercials, but you seem to know everybody in the comedy world, I guess, through the docs, through the I Am Comic docs. But I mean, you had on your podcast, Judd Apatow, how do you get to know all these people and have these luminaries on your speed dial, so to speak? Or, what was the history? What's the history there? How does that happen?
Well, viewers of this podcast will see the brick wall behind Hirsch right now.
Yeah.
With the iconic Yes Brand logo. And those of us that were in stand-up comedy back in the 80s, 90s are triggered into bad memories of fried food and hecklers.
Right.
And club owners wanting to pay us partly in cash and the rest in cocaine. So my history goes back to doing stand-up. I was a stand-up comic touring nightclubs in the early 80s into the 90s after I'd moved to LA in the 80s. I still would go on the road. And I learned to direct on the road with a camera and editing between two tape decks. And, a story many have gone through.
Yeah.
And I think comedians make good directors because we, like you write and direct your own stand-up.
True.
So casting stand-ups and using them in commercials is a wonderful cheat code. So I knew Judd from days hanging out at the Improv in 1988 or do, that, and kept in touch. And then I made I Am Comic came out in 2010, where I met a new generation of comics as I tapped into my peers and even a generation before me. And then I was like, hey, this is kind of old. We're going to need some young people. So I met a new generation of younger, like Nikki Glazer, who has since blown up. And then Rory, I met through a commercial where we just basically offered him to be in it. I had never met him. And then that kind of like the long-winded shark story, it's a mutation that, like, once you have Rory Scovel on your reel, and you have, I forget who else I had the movie with all these comedians in it, and then they started blowing up, like Louis C.K. Louis C.K. in 2010, we must have interviewed him in 2009. He was on the precipice of being king of comedy,
right?
That run that he had, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I mean, he was best known as the president of the Louis C.K. fan club. Well, I mean, not my cup of tea, but clearly a master craftsman at what he does. He has his voice, right? Can't deny it. And grateful he was in the doc. So people would see clips of that, and Nikki Glazer and her blowing up, and a bunch of other comics in that movie. And that was an entree into TJ Miller and Pete Holmes, Nick Kroll, people that then were in, and Maria Bamford. And then just like people said, oh, I loved your first doc, so I did another one.
Yeah.
And then I would say, hey, well, let's do something. And Maria Bamford's manager I'd known from the 80s. And I said, hey, you're a director, you're a producer. Make this special with us. So we made her her special inside of her house for her parents.
That, how great is that? How many stand-up specials of a name stand-up are done in their home with their parents watching? And for her particular brand of genius, that's just perfect. Like, that wouldn't work for just any comic, but for her it does, and it still has the scope of a theater show.
Well, that was the shtick. The genius of that special, which is called the special, is 99.9% Maria Bamford. She had the idea. She didn't want to spend all the money and never recoup. She wanted her parents in the audience, and she sent me her material in like 6 or 7 minute chunks, just doing it to camera on a webcam. And it was initially going to be on this website called chill.com, which went out of business. And then we sold it to Netflix. Like I had anything to do with it. So my 2 additions, my 2% was, one, if you're playing to someone watching on a computer, they may not sit through an hour without a laugh track, because your hour of material is really only 52 minutes. Right. They're like, you got 2 people laughing.
Yeah.
So my suggestions were, and she loved them, let's have the crew laugh, like acknowledge that there's a crew. Let's add interstitial bits where after you do the chunks, she thought we would just stitch the chunks together in one performance. And I said, well, what if you do the material as you know it and you send it to me, and then you're baking cookies and the timer goes off. So you go get the cookies and hand them out. Yeah. Then later you got to give your dogs their medicine or let them out back. Then a pizza guy is going to come because we ordered pizza before the show. That'll be a nice surprise. So a kid knocks on the door with some pizza and the crew has pizza. Like, I needed the special to eat up some time. To fill out the hour. If she was in a club, that would have been an hour 10 because of all the laughs.
Yeah.
So that was and then adding my friend Wayne Fetterman, who I've known since the 80s doing stand-up, adding him as a keyboard player and putting her name in lights, but like Christmas lights on an old refrigerator cardboard box. Like, make it as grand as possible. Have a small crane in the living room that sweeps around like those cookie cutter specials. So the genius is hers, and I just added the herbs and spices.
well said. That's modest, but I'll allow it.
I didn't direct her performance in any manner. I don't know any. I watch a lot of comedy specials on on the streamers, and I don't know what. Yes, it's directed, but the performer is the director of the material.
Yeah. I mean, normally in the big shows, it's like being a TV director. They're like camera 1, camera 2, let's go to, I don't know what really, other than usually a 1 minute, story that they tell at the beginning in black and white,
right,
about them, having a fight with their sister or something. And then they go, hey, ladies and gentlemen, because if, a lot of this also is people are playing to stadiums now. And I was going to ask you, during COVID, and I was among them, people who perform stand-up comedy are trying to figure out what the hell to do, because for a while, people were doing the outdoor stand-up sets to cars honking. And I think that just had mixed results. I mean, should be lauded for doing it. But I mean, do you think that changed the game of entertainment at all? The fact that we were, maybe that's why I'm sitting here doing this. I don't know. But what do you think?
Do I think the pandemic changed comedy?
Yeah.
Not any lasting effect.
Okay, next question. Yeah, I don't know. It really didn't.
Erica Rhodes is a young comedian. She did a great special with the cars honking, the drive-in theater.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I think in Nate's, a helicopter went overhead during the thing because it was outside and people honking. And I look at those as a time stamp, a time machine. Like, I'll watch that in 5 years. I'll be like, oh, that's during the pandemic. Like it's forever. But all comedy specials, like Polaroids of our haircuts and bell-bottom jeans, are little moments in time.
Watch, Eddie Murphy Raw or Delirious.
The gays would not be happy.
No, but when I see clips of that, I picture myself in my best friend's living room watching those shows on VHS or whatever. And like, that's so indelible in my mind.
I remember.
Go ahead.
No, I remember just sitting around with sitting around with my aunts and uncles listening to old Red Fox albums in the hood. Yeah. Wait, that wasn't me.
Actually, Red Fox, the one joke that I remember of Red Fox was he says, two hookers talking, and one says to the other, hey, you smoke after sex? And the other hooker turns around and says, I don't know, I ain't never looked.
You know the Red Fox Vegas story?
Possibly no.
It was like a cold and rainy night, and Red Fox was at Caesar's Palace, and the theater lights go down, and the announcer from backstage goes, ladies and gentlemen, Caesar's Palace is proud to welcome the comedy stylings. You know him from Sanford and Son and his many records. Please welcome Red Fox. And the band plays the theme from Sanford and Son as he walks out slowly.
Yep.
And he walks slowly with a limp at this point, so they have to play the whole song. And he gets out. That song written by Quincy Jones, by the way.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So he gets to the top and he goes, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And he doesn't hear much, and he holds his hand up to block the light, and he looks out, and there's 4 people at one table. And he goes, 4 people? Red Fox don't play for no fucking 4 people. And he walks off, and the band strikes up. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Mr. Red Fox.
Oh, wow.
And that story, I mean, I must have heard it 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And I remember telling my kids, because there was some Red Fox thing we were watching. And then on The Simpsons, I think Lisa comes out and she says one thing and walks off stage, and they play.
And they play the Sanfords. Oh,
and so
man.
That's what I love about The Simpsons. Like when those little gems, and I must only get, 5% of them, but it's just, I love that story. And I love when anybody references it, and I don't have an ending.
Yeah, no, you don't need an ending
Yeah.
because I've got a segue for you. Essentially, we're reminiscing about, we fall into these reminiscences, and I'll cut out about an hour and a half of them, but I'll keep some of them in. But we fall into them, and what it makes me think of is legacy, because you start to think, well, the stuff that I'm doing here, and it's not all entertainment, and certainly everybody creates a legacy. My argument is that everybody is a legacy brand. Everybody, the stuff they do, the stuff you put out there, it's all good, whether you like it or not. It's all going to be put into some kind of canon of some kind, because
it'll
brand. Exist. Huh?
I'm a challenger legacy.
You're a challenger legacy brand. Yeah, me too. I'm a challenger legacy.
Legacy is very important, and I think it's innate in every human that we want to leave some sort of indelible mark on our family, our life. Like that's part of it's ego. It's everything, and that's okay. I think look, I wanted to put out a book just so when I die, there's a bunch of books laying around in the garage.
Oh, that's
cute.
Kids
have to deal with it.
That's cute. But there will be more people that have it. I'm writing my first book now.
What's that called?
It's called Selling the Truth. Selling the Truth. And it's
You can't handle the truth.
You can't handle the truth. Selling the Truth, musings of a so-called thought leader.
Musings of it. Wait, selling the truth.
Selling the truth.
Musings.
And the subhead is musings of a so-called thought leader, because I like the idea that people call themselves leaders, and we're all, that's my whole thing. We're all thought leaders. We're all creating legacies. It's a question of intentionally doing it, and doing it in such a way that we feel good about what we're leaving behind. And that's what maybe the pandemic triggered something in me. Not that I wasn't always trying to do something, but where I felt like, okay, I want to enjoy what I'm doing while I'm doing it, and hope that it leaves the right message behind. That's really it. There's not really anything more complicated or grandiose than that. That's it.
That's a great place to be in life.
Well, it's, you put yourself there. That's all. And that's where you are. I don't
ask for permission very often.
Yeah.
And I think, to sum it up here, gratitude came later in life for me. I think I was kind of a dick when I was younger, because I was cocky. I didn't understand being the beneficiary of privilege, even though I'm from a poor town in Ohio. Like I didn't have any Hollywood connections. I didn't come from money or anything. So I thought I earned everything. I still do, but I realized people have given me the benefit of the doubt by my appearance, right? That's why I like helping those that are less represented. Commercial Directing Film School, and yes, I own commercialdirectingfilmschool.com. That is the website, in case anyone's wondering. The slogan is, learn to direct commercials for a living from a filmmaker directing commercials for a living. So nice. It's a little long. It doesn't really fit on a coffee mug, but I do have it tattooed on my lower back. And
let's see.
Mike, I did one Zoom comedy show and I held up pictures. Like I drew you.
Oh, there you go. Oh, nice. That looks just like me. We'll have to.
So the timing of
include that.
Putting the pictures.
Right.
So the reason I chose that slogan is the whole film school for now is predicated on me working.
Yeah.
So I have to go back to the top of the show. I have to delegate. Like if I don't get some jobs, or someday I'll retire.
Right.
Probably not. I'm definitely going to have to change the slogan if I retire.
Yeah.
Learn to direct commercials for a living from a filmmaker who directed a bunch of commercials before.
Who directed commercials for a living.
Yeah, before he retired to Asheville, North Carolina's artist community, or wherever it is.
Is that where you want to retire to?
No, but someone was talking about it the other day, and I had a friend move there, and it was just top of mind. But the legacy of the film school definitely is driving me to make it successful. and I think it's doing good work. And when people post, hey, I was on set and I had you in my brain saying, do this.
Yeah.
Or someone posts a picture of the book, or will text me, hey, I was on set and this happened. And at boot camp, thank God I had you in the back pocket.
Right.
That legacy really does make me feel good.
Well, it should. And in honor of your legacy, when I saw you did a picture of me, I sketched a little picture of you.
Wow, that's pretty good.
That's my little Jordan Brady.
I wish I was more square jawed like that.
Well, yeah. Well,
I
now
look like
you are.
Dolph Lundgren.
Here you are. This is your legacy.
Here, let's hold them both up.
This is your legacy. There we go. Very nice. Well, I'm not going to say anything about what you make me look like.
What? That's headphones.
No, I get it. Yeah, he has headphones. He's crazy. He's crazy. I'll tell you what he is. He's a nut. Oh, my God. Well, listen, this has been a wonderful, wonderful time for me.
Oh, thank you for having me.
We don't talk to each other enough. I always feel like you're close by and we're in contact, but it's great. It's great to do this with you. And I appreciate your coming on the show. It gives Yes Brand a stamp of credibility and authenticity that I think is really valued. And I appreciate it. I appreciate your coming on.
I appreciate you asking me. And I have, I think we're up to like episode 473 of Respect the Process.
Wow.
Which has led me to being on other podcasts. And if there's a practical tip I would tell any of your listeners, go on podcasts.
Yeah.
Like getting the word out. And listeners, if you're interested in commercial directing, Yes Brand, $100 off.
Very nice.
Off. And I've been a guest on many, many podcasts, and I can say from the bottom of my heart that this one today is the most recent.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you, because I know that you were about to do another one around, I don't know, about a half hour before mine.
No, I gave them the boot.
You did not do it. You're doing it probably next, I guess.
Well, and thank you for sending over the deli platter before our recording. That's top shelf service right there. I didn't know if every guest got that, but that you sent it over with the cheeses, and you knew I like soft cheeses, and thank you.
Also, if I didn't do something with it, it would have turned. So, my wife likes to entertain, and there's always too much, always the orders too much. And we just sent over what we had. I hope that you smelled it before you ate any of that roast beef.
Yet another motto: smell it before you eat it.
Smell it before you eat it. Smell it before you eat it. Oh, second day deli, or no, eighth day delis. You just can't beat it, but smell it before you eat it.
I love that. That's a good slogan. I would love 8-day deli. It's like there's a strip club down the street from my house.
Hold on, let me get a pen. Yeah.
Yeah. A strip club. It used to be a comedy club that I performed at quite a bit. It was one of the hot spots on the west side of Los Angeles. It was called Igby's Comedy Cabaret. It was a great club. They even filmed a show there for Fox Sunday Night Funnies or something. Now it's a strip club called Plan B. Mm-hmm. I think it's just such a great name. And when my boys were teenagers, we were in the car, they go, Plan B, Dad, what is that about? I said, well, I think Plan A was to meet girls that like you.
Well, to meet girls the Plan A was to be more impressive than you ended up being.
Yeah.
And let's just say on another night,
maybe you were impressive.
Maybe you were, and maybe Plan A was all you needed. That's, I think if we aim for Plan A, if we look at life as always our Plan A, every day is a new Plan A. I didn't mean for that to rhyme. I certainly
No, that's good. That's in your
come out hokey
DNA.
Like that. Well, now I'm just going to put up a bunch of inspirational mantras all over my wall, and be a guru. Be a
bonus tip, guru, for your listeners.
Yes.
Know when to cut bait. I just thought of that because you helped me with the diversity awards and press about the hot sauce. And the hot sauce, I had a hot sauce, oh so delicious hot sauce.
Oh, so delicious.
You were a fan. You helped me with that. and I thank you. But in the fall, I realized I'm going to launch this company at the beginning of 2023, True Gent. You can see our work at truegent.tv. And my kids had started this hot sauce with me, and we would ship it every Friday at the end of the day,
Right.
which was the workday was over. The East Coast was closed. Jake and Ben would shoot commercials, and Jake would come over and wear a bear suit, and we would film, put little posts up. And we gave all the money to charity, by the way. I didn't make a dime. My wife would always be like, are we losing money on the hot sauce? So we gave the money to National Military Families, a wonderful charity for veterans and active duty families. So I still will. It's easier now just to give them donations.
Yeah.
Because my kids grew out of it. One's getting married, one went back to college. And so I'm left resentful bubble wrapping hot sauce. And I said, no, it's got to be done. And that was just as defining. It was hard because I loved it and I didn't want to think it was a failure, but I realized, no, it's been 4 years. Its time has come.
Yeah.
It doesn't run itself. And
it was a chapter.
It was a chapter. So I think for your listeners, and you have had different ventures and you know which ones stick and which ones don't. That's part of the fun of entrepreneurship. But the other thing I've been thinking just in this conversation, nothing I'm doing really, I'm not built to scale. And I think a lot of your Yes Brand listeners, they want to scale and go big, and that's fine. But when you talk about like, what have we learned from the pandemic? I'm happy servicing clients and giving them every bit of my attention. That's not to say I'm not prepping one job while shooting another. I'd love for that to continue, right? But I think it's okay to just be great and appreciate the job at hand versus trying to scale into some big production company. Even the film school, like I've licensed my products to Filmmakers Academy and to a couple other schools, colleges, but that's not my MO.
Yeah.
Like I'm happy being a boutique. I don't know what the lesson there is, but something you were saying wrapping up made me think of that.
No, I like that because the scaling thing always comes up. I'm a writer, I'm a creative, I'm an idea person. I'm a problem solver. It's like, how do you scale that? I did realize that sharing what we know, which is something that that's how we started the conversation. It's a wonderful way to wrap this up, is that, we started by talking about your generosity in sharing knowledge and information. That's how you scale. Basically, the idea that only I can do this is never what you thought. You thought, oh, wow, shouldn't I share some information that I learned so that other people don't have to learn every single thing the way I did, and that's what I've learned. So the stuff that I'm doing has value, not because I'm going to teach other people specifically what to do or hire 50 people underneath me to be writers. It's that whatever I've learned, whatever I'm doing, I'm going to share and perpetuate the spirit, I think, of what worked for me. That's really it.
And it takes a little bit of faith and a little bit of voodoo and woo-woo.
Yes.
To sort of count on goodness will come back to you.
Yeah.
Regardless of your faith, have faith that good things will happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I probably will stop recording there because otherwise I'll have plenty.
Not too much to do. Hers, this has been a blast. Thank you, sir.
All right.
If you liked the show,
Yes, and
it worked for you,
yes, then
subscribe and leave a
yes, friend.
5-star review.
Yes, friend.
Tell all your friends.
Yes, friend.
Get your branding here.
Yes, friend.
Get your branding here.
Yes, friend.
Did I make it clear?
Yes, friend.
Get your branding on
Yes.
before they're gone.
Yeah.